Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from wherever you are joining us. My name is Abhinav Srivastava. I, along with my colleague Samad Güner, work with SAP Artificial Intelligence and Senior DevOps Developer. Our topic today is CICD as a service, moving towards large-scale continuous delivery, where we talk about how we build a centrally governed solution which work as a service to different microservices and how it makes their life easy. We are uh, very obliged speaking here and very thankful to CDCon for inviting us. The first thing is CICD solution overview. So in general, there are three vertical pillars of CICD, which is called application, infrastructure, and developers. And all in all, they make the maximum business value by building a combination of solution. But if we try to see behind the scenes, or often we tend to forget some behind the scenes aspects of these particular pillars, is from application side, it could be from the linting till deployment, packaging, managing all the dependencies, versioning, and observability side of things. For each microservices, building these kind of different angle is tough. Infrastructure side, the infrastructure management as code, the hyperscaler supports, the security angle, the disaster recovery, the HA and access management, all those concepts needs to be streamlined for our infrastructure. And for developers to make their life easy and do what they do best, we have to provide a out-of-the-box automation in terms of configuration, release notes, the environment should be automated, created, multi-technology support, multi-language support. And all in all, when these things are getting combined, they actually do the maximum business value. Now, if you just remember these kind of concept in a very large microservice architecture, say 200 plus microservice or 300 plus microservices, and every microservice, if is spending this much of effort of setting all this up, it could be a very big problem. We had this problem and we tried to solve this by building a centrally governed CI/CD solution where we build a central solution with all the end-to-end aspect of a CI/CD offering, and we just offer it as a service to our internal stakeholders or internal microservices team. Let me take a real-world example. So suppose I have a 50 microservice architecture application, and initial time taken per microservice is around 5 days. Given the fact if the developer who is working, who knows the things what he's doing, it across 40 hours, and maintenance per microservice is 2 hours per day, means it could be maintenance could be anything. It's relating to CI builds or CI failures, test failures, infrastructure failures, etc., etc. And if you just calculate all these numbers for a 50 microservice application, it should be around, it could come around 2,000 hours initially and 22 hours per month as a maintenance. Now, if you just connect the dot between these numbers to cost in whatever currency you have, it is too much. Sometimes it could be a, we have to see that what kind of ROI is giving in terms if we are implementing CI/CD for each of the microservices. So now we also had this problem, and we do realize that implementing CI/CD for large microservices architecture could require more time and cost. And in the next slides, we are going to tell you our experience and the best practices what we follow to deliver our application with large number of microservices very smoothly and very often. On that note, I would hand over to Sam for describing the architecture and different parts of our solution.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abhinav. Now I want to go with you or give you an overview about our architecture. It's an overview, so about the technical details, we will discuss them as we progress through the session. In this architectural overview, we want to give you our key system overview of our key systems, relation between the systems, and the resulting CI/CD as a service offering. So in general, the main entry point to our offering are self-service jobs, as well as CI pipeline templates available on our Jenkins. We actually operate in large-scale Jenkins cluster, hosting multiple teams for the whole AI unit. Our Jenkins hosts the CI templates, which represent SAP compliant, centrally managed, as well as battle test CI pipelines. These pipelines are agnostic to any programming language and target Kubernetes as well as Cloud Foundry environments. Since we are a CI/CD offering, we give the pupil the possibility to have a one-click experience, meaning with one job we can actually onboard a new application to our platform. And this job then does everything necessary in the background, like creating a GitHub repository, creating the necessary credentials to deploy the application to our infrastructure, as well as all of the small dotted unknown things like white source scans, protocol scans, and so on. So you don't need to go through dozens of documentation on finding out how to bake and actually deliver applications which are compliant to all SAP enterprise standards. And I can assure you there are a lot of SAP standards. We have our jobs. In addition to that, we have our jobs to manage our infrastructure, especially apply changes through Terraform for infrastructure, where Terraform is used to deploy or Kubernetes clusters or backing services from SAP Business Technology Platform, as well as from Gardener or open source Kubernetes management plane. And in addition to that, our Terraform is even able to rotate secrets and manage secrets. Since we are taking full responsibility from CICD, also in the infrastructure part and delivery part, we need to give our developers the possibility to access our development namespace environments to actually bake and deploy their current code, state of code. And with that, we actually offer every developer an own namespace on a development cluster, an own private Docker registry to push their current state. And even more, we give them a scoped access to the whole cluster where we can actually play around and do their testing in a rapid, iterative way. For the continuous delivery part, we actually use Spinnaker heavily, and which is used to test, deploy, and actually promote or release candidates from development namespaces to staging, integration, and then to production. Even more, Spinnaker is capable of generating status as well as traceability reports, which are directly mapped to Jira or reported in Slack. So the teams, program management, POs can review them. For monitoring, we heavily use Dynatrace, which gives us a pretty good overview about our system, how it's behaving, and if there are any issues, we are able to debug them very easily, trace requests from multiple layers of microservices. At the moment, we're also working on smoothing out our delivery process by integrating Dynatrace and Spinnaker with each other to use canary analysis with our defined SLOs for specific applications. And with that, I just want to hand over to the deep dive of the CI/CD onboarding to Abhinav.
Yeah, so that's the first job what we have, where we onboard a particular repo or a developer or any requirement to our all the configuration end to end to CI/CD. Suppose in a real world scenario, if I'm a developer, you have a project type, say Python or JavaScript or whatever. Usually what you do, there is always some confusions or always lots of tasks. In order to properly run a CI/CD pipeline, you have to integrate with lots of tools, starting with collaborate, build, test, deploy, run. It could be a plethora of tooling based on your business use case. What we have done to make the life easy, that we have come up with a form-based approach where any developer or any person can go and provide some information in terms of what they want to do in terms of GitHub, the Sonar cubes, the Vault, etc., based on the information, and then it automatically triggers a job which creates end-to-end pipelines for you by touching different systems on the way. So this job basically makes 5 days of job to done only in 5 seconds or 10 seconds by talking to lots of third-party tools and creating all the necessary configuration for you. And you, with one click, you will be ready to deploy to our systems. The next one is toolkit, which Samet will explain.
So we talked about onboarding to a CI/CD offering. Now we want to talk about the continuous integration. So most of the heavy daily work is lifted by the CI/CD toolkit, which is a Jenkins library written in Groovy, and it offers, like we said initially, ready-to-consume pipelines to build and deliver applications to infrastructures managed by the DevOps team, by us. So generally speaking, a developer just needs to add one single line to run a centrally governed test and develop CI pipeline. With that, developers can focus on creating business value rather than fighting Groovy skips, unstable Jenkins slaves, and other problems. So with this approach, we are able to push fixes to all of our components, as well as streamline compliance and delivery of all of our applications at once. The shared library itself consists of pipeline templates, which in exchange consume modularized stages, which are simple Groovy classes. And those Groovy classes can be easily used in different pipelines. So we have a pick what you need fashion to build new pipeline templates for different use cases. Beside the very simple Jenkins file, developers can provide their own Docker files to run certain stages, such as unit tests and acceptance tests. We give them a well-defined interface, as well as the flexibility to run their own logic if they want to. By having such a strong, flexible system, we are able to dramatically increase the developer experience by reducing the time spent on CI activities, as well as streamlining CICD for everyone by adding a streamlined for example, by adding a streamlined delivery process for all onboard applications. And with that, I want to move to a next big topic. It's about our infrastructure management. So while the CICD toolkit takes care of the CI, somehow the application needs to run on some infrastructure. And like the CICD toolkit, the infrastructure management is one of the most important pillars of our offering. Before that, we would sit on a bunch of wrong configured diverse environments, not being able to spawn new environments or even go live to new hyperscalers within weeks. So for managing our infrastructure, we have chosen Terraform, which allows us to write down our infrastructure code and helps us scale our infrastructure both in a number of environments as well as the complexity of each environment. Since we write our infrastructure code and store it in Git, we also leverage GitOps principles that have several benefits. For example, we have free audit log with the Git history, so we know what is done when, by who. This is important if you want to get specific certifications and have audits for that. We have a change validation. We actually test every change with dedicated test infrastructure, whether we would break running systems. And by using GitOps, we also can leverage the built-in pull request review, which gives a very good forum to discuss infrastructure changes, as well as the possibility to have humans reviewing changes to infrastructure. And one of the new concepts we have introduced into our unit and into our offering is the strong split between infrastructure and application lifecycle. We have well-defined interfaces in our infrastructure where applications, after their deployment, can, during runtime, find out what they need. So this could be, for example, injected configurations for certain access to certain databases or logging services or any other backing services. And with that, the infrastructure management is responsible for creating this environment for applications which are agnostic to the infrastructure. Infrastructure as code is one thing, and the highly modularized team Terraform with a strong focus on isolation as well as reusability is another. Fortunately, we had the focus from beginning on to have a lot of modules, so we can do a pick what you need, a Lego fashion building our own infrastructure. And with that, we actually support AWS, Azure, SAP backing services, and even Dynatrace dashboards can be deployed by Terraform. And with that strong isolation and integration, we could do actually a go live for some of the products to Azure in 7 to 10 days with just one developer. So this helped us a lot. And I just want to move to the next big pillar. It's the continuous delivery part of our offering. And we had continuous integration. We know how to bake the application. We know where to run the application, but we don't know how to deploy it there. So let me switch. We also talked about GitOps. And actually, in our offering, we give the people and the developers the freedom to choose between Spinnaker and ArgoCD. So we have infrastructure managed by Spinnaker, and we also have infrastructure managed by ArgoCD. Depending on the use case, Spinnaker makes more sense, or ArgoCD makes more sense. Spinnaker is great, and because Spinnaker is actively looking for new release candidates by checking our internal Artifactory. Once there's a new tag, it immediately starts with deployment to our development namespaces, updates all stable dependencies, and run tests and generates traceability reports. And once we have finished with the development and deployment, we just right away continue with the deployment to staging, because tests are green, do the very same steps, and then continue until production. Before we hit production, we have added a manual judgment step where we take a small step back, take a breath, and see, okay, what did we do in the last previous environments before hitting production with this change. We're also currently working to smooth out this, or to get rid of this manual judgment stage, by integrating data collected by Dynatrace to Spinnaker to do a very nice canary analysis offered by Spinnaker. And with that, I want to hand over to the monitoring part. Abhinav, to you.
Yeah, so as you can see, there are lots of offerings in our solution. It's very important to have very vigilant about what is happening on the application level as well as on infra level. So we rely heavily on the monitoring thing, where we monitor in two ways. The first one is the custom DevOps dashboard, which we have used our internal technologies to build it. It's kind of a UI5 dashboard where we track each microservices with their version, about their quality KPIs for each version, what is the build pass ratio, the security things, the other quality measures, as well as the interesting part, we also do the DevOps KPIs, means we all know the DORA KPIs, the market standards. We all capture all those 4 KPIs, mainly the lead time, where are we struggling to make ourselves better, and do the internal audit in our offering. We also wanted to have environment-based test results, means we wanted to make sure that our all the environments have same parity, and all the test cases which are running in the development should pass in the production environments also after the deployments. We do store all the results to further analyze in the future. On the Dynatrace side, we do the APM, which is application performance monitoring, for each microservices, having all the KPIs mentioned, example 400, 500s, the failed requests, etc., etc. Apart from that, we also monitor all our infra, mainly the Kubernetes, till the pod level if anything goes wrong, and proactively fix it. We rely on the tracing part, which connects all the microservices at one go for the debugging purpose. So if any changes or any request is happening in one microservice, we travel via all the microservices and trace the issues. And we also do the analysis on archiving the results on this Dynatrace thing. So all in all, this was our offering, and end-to-end, and how we are centrally governing CICD as a service by providing 200 plus microservices, the same set of solution, yet there is a scope of innovation and making people life easy and delivering as fast as possible. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and see you. Bye. Hi, everyone. Now the QA window is open, and we are happy to answer your questions. Yeah.
Yeah, Samad, I think there's one question in Q&A.
Yes.
So the question, probably I can read it. How do you manage the Docker artifact version per environment? For example, how do Spinnaker knows which version of Docker image or Helm chart should get promoted to production?
Yeah, I can pick that one. So we don't have such a thing like a version or which version to choose. For us, every version gets promoted to production when it passes our smoke tests or end-to-end tests, as well as the whole test suite we are running. So there's no need in selecting versions or promoting specific versions when we know that everything is stable with this change. So we have a continuous flow until production. So Spinnaker does this for us. Every change goes to production one screen. There's no such a selection.
Mm-hmm. Yes. See any other question? Probably I can ask you one question which could be relevant for lots of people. Since we are talking about as a service, there is always a some resistance or tough part from some of the organization to unify the things, how they do it. So could you just probably answer this, that what was the most challenging part we have done in this journey to make sure that all the microservices are running on our provided services?
I think there is a question from Jim. Was there any thought about extending GitOps approach to handle deployments instead of Spinnaker? Is there a killer feature Spinnaker offers that made the case for you? Yes, so the killer feature is the scalability of Spinnaker. It's way easier for us to onboard multiple teams and projects to Spinnaker than using GitOps and maintain also a large scale of Kubernetes cluster. This was one of the major points, but also the inbuilt capabilities, which we are going to adapt soon with canary analysis and the well integration to all of the APM services like Dynatrace. These were the key features which we took over. But of course, for specific use cases, we still offer the possibility that you use Argo to deploy your application. If you, for example, use Argo itself as a product feature.
Yeah, so there is one more question. How do you share the Jenkins file templates? I can take it. So we have made Jenkins file, as I said, the name was CICD toolkit in the presentation. It is basically a Jenkins shared library, resides in a Git, and we just shared that library within the Git as a Git library or something like that. So once you have it, you can just easily import it via Git by @ and then you just import the particular shared library. In terms of Jenkins, how it communicates, you can go to Jenkins setup and add this library in the setup to make sure that your Jenkins basically recognize this setup. So that's how we share it. There is one more question, Samit.
How did you get, so from Sean, how did you get teams to engage and adopt this service? Yeah, so this is a very good question. We actually got the mandate from the management and support from the management to actually change how we deliver and to improve there, because we as developer raise topics like that, well, delivery is unstable, that no tests are working fine. And then we got the mandate as a team from management that we actually create such a solution, start small POCs, show that it's successful with initial services, and then show other people, and that actually our solution is something which you can adopt to improve your delivery. So having mandate, support from management, having POCs, successful small POCs, and talking to people why it's good. Yeah, that was the key to bring the engagement adoption.
So showing the, just to add to some point, also showing the KPIs we are improving in terms of how we are increasing the business value for the product. So if a product getting delivered in 7 days or 10 days for a single deployment, and with our solution, just it's a plug and play, and everything gets delivered every day or at least once in a day, and developer doesn't have to worry about anything. They can just do the development and all the things and plug and play. With all the SAP policies, as Sam has said, it's a lot in order to deliver it, and everything is automated. Yeah, so that was the unique selling point, that it comes out of the box for every one of you with backing of the data and KPIs values which we provide. Yeah. So
question in the QA section. Is there a way to have multiple versions of a pipeline in? So this is a very technical question. What we do in Spinnaker is we actually manage in Spinnaker or Spinnaker pipelines in Git. There's a good way by Armory in doing that and supported there using Dingy. But as far as I know, you can only have one state of the pipeline saved in Git you can use. I hope this answers your question.
there's one more question in the chat, I think. What is configurable with your onboarding pipeline? It seems that a lot of services repository are available for this pipeline. Are all services needed for each onboarding?
I can pick this one. When you build, especially when you build applications at SAP, SAP has a lot of product standards to deliver the highest quality to our customers. And this requires speaking to many systems, which are also third-party systems, which do specific things for you, like IP scans, like malware scans, and so on. And unfortunately, this system landscape is not well integrated yet that you can have a one-click experience in doing that. So that's why we wanted to give our teams which are adopting our solution this one-click experience for any new service, that they just go through this onboarding job. In addition to that, not only the third-party systems, but also our own services and systems, which we have built to enable this CICD as a service, are also done in this onboarding job. So that's I hope that answers your question, Sasha.
Yeah, there's one more question. Do you also use Spinnaker for VM-based deployments on AWS or Azure? No, I think we do not use the VM-based. We are fully cloud-based thing. And as our company also promotes this, so we are in a journey of making full cloud, and we only use the cloud feature of AWS and Azure, not the VM-based deployment.
Yeah, especially Kubernetes. So we deploy only Docker containers, and we don't manage any VMs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, have you tried Tecton?
So good question. We had some POCs running for Tecton, and as far as I know, Tecton is also using Jenkins X, but we had a better POC outcome for Spinnaker. That's why we have decided to go with Spinnaker. And of course, you could also theoretically use Tecton for CI activities. But fortunately, SAP has a lot of support for and libraries out also in public, like Piper, or formerly also code pipes, which you can actually use to build CI. And the natural choice for us was, of course, to go with the ecosystem SAP provides and to choose Jenkins as a CI system, and yeah, for CD, Spinnaker, or Argo. There's another question. How long did it take you to build the platform? How many people were involved? Maybe Abhinav, you want to take this one, since you are leading.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we started this journey around 1 year or 1 year or half or so. So we started with a very small POC that I mean, when we took this project, it was very honestly a mess, and that's where we took it and we put our brains that how we can do it in terms of having long-term vision, that going forward we knew that this problem is going to raise more and more within the company and within our organization. So yeah, so we we are a very basically, we believe in DevOps principle. It's a small team. You probably heard of a concept of a one pizza team. So we are people of 4 and 5 people, very DevOps kind of people. And then we took around 1 year or so to build these things, all these things to 4 and 5. Obviously, there is some open contribution also from the developers. So we work in a very open source kind of fashion. So if anyone wants any other features to develop, I mean, we are more than welcome to ask them to develop and increase our ecosystem and make our system more good. Okay, I think our times are up. But at the same time, if you want to discuss us more, we can very happy to be connected on LinkedIn, and also in this session also, I mean in the CDCon next sessions, or anyway the meeting rooms or something like that, meetups, we are break rooms, whatever is there, I mean we are happy to discuss it more. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a nice session ahead.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.